Hi, welcome back to Faith and Conviction, and I'm your host, Ray Harris. I want to welcome you back to this week's Torah portion, and we, again, are still in the book of Leviticus. This week is Torah portion 32, and it's the title of it is Behar, and it comes from the book of Vayikra, which we know as Leviticus, but Vayikra means he called in English, and Vayikra is the Hebrew. So we're looking at Leviticus 25, verse 1, down through chapter 26, verse 2. So let's look at our keyword for this Torah portion, and it is found in Leviticus 25, verse 1, and it's the fifth Hebrew word, and it is Behar. The Strong's numbering on that is H2022. H2022. Now, Brown Driver Briggs identifies this word as referring to a hill, or hill country, or a mount, which is short for mountain, or mountains. So, Esword in the King James for the Hebrew of the Old Testament says that this word Behar is in the text about 540 times, and it translates it as hill, hills with a possessive using an apostrophe, or hills with a plural, but it's also translated as mount, mountain, or mountains being plural. So our verse this time is Leviticus 25, verse 1, and this is the only verse that uses this keyword. So here's the verse in the King James. And the Lord spoke, or spake unto Moses, spoke unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying. Now, the complete Jewish Bible has Adonai spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai, he said, meaning the Lord. The Jewish Publication Society, this copy of the Torah that I use regularly, says the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai. And then we also, remember, we go through the Greek of the Old Testament to get to the Greek of the New Testament. So here's the Greek of the Old Testament. Kai, elalesin, kurios, pros, meusin, in, to, are, sina, legon. Now the word we're looking at is are, and that is G, the Strong's numbering on it is G3735. G3735, and that's going to connect over and bring us over into the New Testament. And as I was looking at that, Thayer says it's a mountain. And in the eSword for the King James New Testament, it translated as hill one time, we'll talk about that, mount, mountain, and mountains, so meaning plural. So it's found in the New Testament books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which is interesting. It's in all the Gospels. It's in Hebrews, it's in 2 Peter, and in the book of Revelation. But I want to focus on Matthew because I think it's interesting how this works for us, and I think you'll see a connection over here that's really kind of neat and interesting, and I think it gives us a way of being more encouraged here. Matthew takes this Greek word, ore, or oros, and translates it as mountain or mount every time except one. And that one is translated as hill, and it's the only time translated as hill in all of the New Testament. That verse is in Matthew 5, verse 14. You may already know it, and it says, Ye are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid. Now this word oros is connected over to the Hebrew word Behar, which means hill or mountain. It can mean either one of those. But as we were looking at our words, it means hill, it means mountain, it means mountain. Now for me, I think of it as different elevations. So I think of a hill as something more toward the ground, and then a mountain is a little higher, and a mountain is much higher up. So when we're looking at this text, it says that Jesus tells us that we are the light of the world. So a hill being closer to the ground is not going to be a light to the entire world, but it will be a light to an area. And a mount will be a light to a greater area. But if you're a light set on a mountain, think of like Mount Everest. If you're a light on that mountain, the entire world sees you because of how tall you are and where it is. And that really is kind of cool. So think about this. You are the light of the world. A city set on a mountain cannot be hid. So the world sees that light because it is not only is it so high, it just can't be hid, but everybody wants to go there because they have to investigate it. They have to see what it is. So it's cool. It is something interesting. So we take the Hebrew that Moses has, we look at it through the Greek that translates Moses. We use that Greek to see what the Greek New Testament is saying, so we can see what the English is doing. So we can see how all of this is working. And it's actually really cool to see all these workings of the languages and how it flavors our understanding and gives us insight and helps our spirituality and builds our faith. It does build our conviction. So I hope it's been a blessing to you. And until next time, I want you to continue to seek God, know Messiah, and find hope.